Welcome to Red Lodge, Montana, the gateway to the world-famous Beartooth Highway and our next stop on the Montana Shakespeare in the Parks reverse tour. We're going to pass this off to Sue Logan to tell us a little bit about the town.
This is Sue Logan, the chair of the Performing Arts Committee for the Carbon County Arts Guild and Depot Gallery. We sponsor the Shakespeare in the Park production every year since 1978. And I'm here to introduce you a little to our town and to talk about Shakespeare. As you can see, Red Lodge was started as a coal town, a mining town. And when the mines closed down in the 30s and the Beartooth Highway was built during the Depression, it switched over to becoming more of a tourist town with some farming, ranching, and of course our annual Home of Champions rodeo. All of this has been canceled due to the COVID crisis, including our annual Shakespeare in the Park production.
Sue sent along an article from that first year Montana Shakes visited Red Lodge, the company's third tour in 1975. On July 11th, Shakespeare in the Parks, sometimes then called the MSU University Players, performed the Comedy of Errors. Since it's a little hard to read the review here, we asked Rhonda Smith and Tom Morris, two of the cast members of that year, to read it for you.
No playwright adapts so easily to alfresco performance as Shakespeare, and it was proven again on the evening of July 11th when the Montana State University Theater Arts presented the Comedy of Errors in Field School Park.
The story of two sets of twins, one noble born, the other of servant class, separated at youth by a storm at sea, moved with a fine pace, provoking the sizable audience to almost constant laughter.
The two sets of twins were outstanding, with special merit going to Thomas Q. Morris as Dromio of Syracuse.
Rhonda Smith as Adriana was utterly charming, as was S.J. Summer as her sister Luciana. Both possessed the beauty and the ability for continued careers in the theater.
For the most part, the 13 members of the company are all Montanans, and all of them hold degrees in the theater arts. This marks the third season of touring, and it is hoped that when they return, the park will not be large enough to hold all the spectators.
If the actors lacked anything at all, it is further voice training.
Some of the voices needed timbre and resonance.
Oh, but this is a flaw easily mended by time and study.
Hey, thanks you two. We'll hear more from you in a minute, but first, let's get back to Red Lodge. Charles Kurault called the Beartooth Highway America's most beautiful drive. John Steinbeck called it a great splash of grandeur, and it is a highlight on many a tour. In the 2000s, actors would stop at the Top of the World gas station and drink a Coke, on the rumor that any wish made with a cold Coke at the bench at the Top of the World would always come true. Performances take place near the Red Lodge Depot Gallery, the sponsor who brings Montana Shakespeare in the Parks to Red Lodge every summer, and the stage is set up in Lyons Park. We'll let Sue tell you a little bit about this special place.
It's the old train depot, which the Arts Gallery took over in the early 1980s. Usually, when we have Shakespeare in the Park, we hold it right next to the Arts Gallery at Lyons Park, which, as you can see, is a beautiful city park. The actors come in the afternoon and they set up right here with this gazebo that they use sort of as a green room and a dressing room. And then the stage goes right here. The audience who comes later with their dinners and their picnics will set up their chairs and their rugs in this green space here. Usually we have 300 people here for Shakespeare in the Park, and it's a much anticipated festivity.
Thanks, Sue, for the tour of the site. Hey, Rhonda and Tom, got any tour memories?
My wiglet fell off. It was not secured properly. And this guy picked it up, instead of ignoring it, did a whole bit with my wiglet. Much to my chagrin, I was kind of humiliated.
I'm so surprised that he would do that.
I know, isn't it?
I have no recollection of that whatsoever. I've only supported other actors on the stage. I've rarely, if ever.
It's so good to get that on video.
I don't know. Who's S.J. Summers?